12th of March 2022. Firstly, this is not financial advice. This is basically an online diary that I'm using to try to improve my trading. I need to get better results. So yeah, I'm just hoping by sort of talking things out loud, maybe the occasional discussion with a few people, is going to help me improve my trading. So this is absolutely not advice. Please don't follow what I'm saying. Yeah, so just bear that in mind. There's plenty of other smarter, more experienced people than me if you're looking for people to follow. Right, let's get into it. I want to go through some decisions that I've recently made. So some were decisions on actual trades that I did, and some were decisions where, for one reason or another, I didn't do anything. So yeah, I just want to just go through and sort of quality check some of my thinking. So let's first go through what I have done. This is Zim. Came out with huge quarterly earnings. Yeah, just massive. So now, is it end of cycle or anything like that? I've got no idea. But if their earnings continue, then it's possible you see a sort of continual move in the share price, even despite this on the weekly. You know, it's gone up sort of 7 or 8x already since it IPO'd. So just massive. So I bought it 1st of March. When I say it, I bought the options. Right there, where I technically really should have got is on that upside reversal day, sort of tagged the 50. Nice pullback, nice recovery on that day. Anyway, took the opportunity a few days later, it sort of drifted back a little bit, came out with earnings and moved up. So pretty happy with that. I would like to see the options move a bit more. I think because the dividend's so high, it's I'm not quite getting the same sort of realization in the option price that I would like to have. Saying that, buying the options allowed me to hold through earnings because I went in with a view that I could just lose that entire option premium. So it just gave me conviction to hold into earnings. So probably can't complain too much. The interesting thing is it had this. That was the day there of earnings. Really nice big volume. Broke out to all-time highs. And then the next day it held that. So normally that would be a signal to buy on a BGU, buy the gap up setup. I decided not to buy more because historically this stock has been a bit sloppy when it comes to breakouts. See here, if you were trying to buy around here, would have sort of would have stopped you out there. Back here as well, you would have been sort of struggling to get set. Saying that, if I'd actually just waited for the next sort of update, I would have been buying it here. Would have actually made quite good money just to make a lie of myself there. And where else? I think I don't know if I'd gone through that one. This one would have flopped as well. So sort of a little bit scrappy. So I thought, okay, right, I'm not going to buy this one on a momentum breakout setup. I'm going to wait for a momentum pullback setup, such as like an upside reversal day against the 50 here. So of course that's made an idiot of me and just continue to go higher anyway, at least in the last few days. So anyway, let's see what that can do now. I still want to buy more of this one, but like I say, I've just got to stick to the analysis here. I'm going to see if it gives me a pullback buy entry. So that's Zim. The other one was gold. Touched on a previous video. Again, options. Bought it here. Really happy with that entry. The only thing I didn't do right was just buy more and more of it. Now, on this day here, I put a bit of an order into sell 40% of the options if it hit a certain price, which I thought was sort of very ambitious, but the price actually got there. So the 40% took all my cost base out, and I was, in some ways it's always nice just to take your cost base out, reduce your risk. But yeah, you start to wonder here, was I selling a bit too sort of prematurely? Clearly it's just gone into a stage 2. But then the next day it sort of pushed up even more, but then sort of closed the day down a little bit. And I did have a feeling, I thought, oh, maybe this is a volume blow off here. Now I didn't do anything because I'd already sort of sold a bunch of the options there. But starting to think, oh, and it just happened so quickly. It was just a day, so that's how things are moving at the moment. So I didn't do any more. Then I had a really nasty sort of down day here, and yeah, sort of just now well, it's actually holding there pretty well at this stage. So now whether this is going to prove to be the absolute top, I don't know. Quite often what happens at the start of a move is that you get an initial sort of blow up here, then it reconsolidates and then gets going again. I think AMD was a good case of that. Let me find a chart on Market Smith. Hang on. Right. AMD. Yeah, it did that huge run and then had to consolidated for a few months. So will gold trading like this? I don't know. Now maybe still the best thing to do is just to sell up the rest of those options, because I don't really want to be hanging around for a few months just seeing the time value of those options decay, while it's just deciding to have another run. So if we zoom back out a bit, this is on the weekly. Yes, it's come out of a nice long base here, but it sort of pushed up to our previous all-time highs, and then this has been sold off again. So you could even argue maybe this is some sort of big picture double top here. The only reason I'm being a bit indecisive is it's just come out of this sort of nice long base here. So it's only sort of 3 weeks out. Don't know if you'd normally see the top just 3 weeks coming out of a base. Normally you'd see things go for a bigger run. So I'm going to try and give this one the benefit of the doubt. If it starts sort of just fluffing around too much, I think I'll just sell the rest. Yeah, so I mean, just looking at sort of come out of this previous sort of long base here, 2016 to 19, I had a bit initial push-up, sort of consolidated a little bit, then went again. So wasn't really like a blow-off top type thing. So they're probably like, look at the volume here on the weekly. That's a sort of a huge thing. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit undecided as to what to do here. So I'm just going to have to make a note of that to think, well, okay, well, what's it going to be? Clearly, I've got a bit of a hole in the trading plan here. I'm not entirely sure what to do with that. So yeah, interesting point. I sold. I had this sort of. Well, I thought it was going to be like a long-term small position in Tesla, but the problem with Tesla is I haven't seen the fear come into it yet. I made a note of this back in December. I was selling things like Shopify and C. That something that's just meandering around is really not doing me any good. I'm here to make a lot of money, and the EV makers are really sort of selling off. You'd also think, the current news around that EV makers have been doing well, but it actually not. So the ETF is Drive for EVs, and that just looks horrific to me. Stage 4, as in what I mean by horrific. So big picture on the weekly, double top. Pretty clear double top there. Divergence. Thought here it had this sort of huge upside reversal day under the 200 was going to hold it, but it's just not. So yeah, so I sold a bit more here. I dare say next week I'll probably just end up selling the rest, and I'm really just trying to avoid headaches that aren't making me money. I'm here to make big money, not muck around. So I just don't see a really good reason to hold that. And I say we've seen fear come into other parts of tech, like Roku, for example, TDoc. The list goes on. Or DocuSign last night was down something 20%. I haven't seen that in Tesla. It's still considered the king. So yeah, I dare say I'll be selling the rest of that next week. No big deal on that one. Okay. I started my 30-day challenge to do a 1 to 3 trades a day. I was actually thinking this morning, what have I done? It's committed myself to something very, very tough here. Quite interesting though, because it really forced me to get out of bed early, do the scans, got my sort of checklist of scans at relevant strengths, blue chips, BGUs, momentum bursts, and it really forced me. I felt that sort of pressure. Oh shit! I've got to come up with an idea here, and which I quite liked. Saying that's a real struggle to find stuff at the moment, especially on the long side. But I've done a few trades. This first one is on Obnitive. I think it's in the oil sector, super strong sector. So my logic here is a bit of a VCP, contracting volume, breaks out here. I think that was earnings, has helped that quite nicely. Now I do have a note that a lot of breakouts haven't been working. So I didn't really want to be buying a breakout, but I thought, well, sort of almost a pullback here, a bit of an upside reversal day there as well. So I've bought that here. Of course, it's just gone down on me. So we'll see here how that one goes. Bigger picture, yeah, it's not looking too bad. It's just amazing how everyone sort of thought the major money was in tech and growth, but after the pandemic, but it just not. I mean, look at that, a $2 or $3 stock to 45. It doesn't even look like stopping it. So yeah, big picture, big lesson for me. Just keep an open mind. Everyone was talking about the pelotons and all that, but the quiet achievers are actually somewhere else in the market. Similar theme rig, another one I bought. Lower price stock, similar thing to rig. Again, I've sort of made a note to myself, breakouts haven't been working, so of course I go and buy a breakout. Earnings, BGU, massive volume, weekly, stage 1, moved into stage 2, 50 days rising, sort of really ticking all the boxes there. So held this breakout really nicely. So yeah, we'll see. So there's my sort of first few trades for this 30-day sort of challenge I've given myself. Okay, some decisions I didn't do. I'm going to touch on Llnw. I did touch on this in one of the previous videos. I think it's one of the best looking charts. I haven't traded it, so I've made no money on it. I might just get Market Smith back up. It's showing this one better. Llnw. Okay. Yeah, just noted before, just cracking looking chart. Sort of has these push out, halt, breaks out, consolidates, holds that level. Previous resistance turns into support. Does it again. Previous resistance turns into support, and now it's just pushed off again. Now the question is, why didn't I get into this trade? So I've just been going through it. Okay, so the first one that put me off, and I think this one's probably quite fairly, is this is in the tech sector. So I'm trying to avoid weak sectors. So despite this chart looking really good, I think it was probably the right call to give it a skip. Saying that, if I was going to trade it, where should it have been? again, so breakouts haven't been working until the ones that I don't do. Of course, that one works perfectly well and keeps going. So just to make an idiot of me. But I think the better entry would have been down here. So noted that it has these sort of nice push-outs and then consolidates at previous resistance. Did the exact same thing here. Tagged the 50-day. The 50-day is rising. Upside reversal day right here. So that was a day to be buying it if I was going to buy it. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pass here for not buying it because of the weak tech sector. Maybe it's something to do if I was feeling more ballsy. And yeah, because the chart was just so damn good. So it's gone from what's that 380 something to close at 486. That's a nice little move there. So anyway, that one got through to the keeper. I think it validates my setup thing of buying momentum stocks in a pullback phase. Like I say, back to the 50-day upside reversal. Yeah, just getting ready for another leg up. Another one I mentioned in one other video was a good short idea was Vsto. Vista Outdoor. I think I talked about it around here somewhere-ish. So, to tell you the truth, it's actually held up really quite well. I'm going to go back to our real time here. Just, righto. Why I liked it as a short was obviously had a big run, flatlined. Now it's either going to be a stage 1 or stage 3. I took the view that it was stage 3 because it had this sort of last gasp where I really tried to crack on with it. In fact, I had tried that a few times, tried to sort of push out and just couldn't. And then eventually just gave up. Fell below the 200, rallied back to 200, was rejected off of there, was rejected off the 20-day, rejected off the 50-day. Previous resistance is now turned into previous support. So I do believe that it's still like a pretty good short-looking candidate. I haven't taken it. Now the funny thing is, have I got this one wrong? This sector that I'm in doesn't look actually too bad. But do I just put the short on anyway? I don't know. I haven't quite got my head around buying puts, I must admit, just yet. But that's one to bookmark for myself. It's in a month or two, see how that one's performing. Similar story on the weekly. See the relative strength just dying off as it's sort of making those new highs, but it's just on less and less convincing effort the whole time. I had to look at the numbers like a P of 5 or something like that. So I don't know. Have I picked up the most boring stock to go as a sort of short on when there's been another sort of just shooting barrel on the fish type things like Shopify, for example. So yeah, I'll be interested to sort of come back and review that one, even just to see my sort of chart analysis on that one. Okay, another one is Weat. Didn't do this. Became aware of it as Russia was invading Ukraine. Sorry, this is the Weat fund. Now, yeah, let's. As an end of day trader, this one would have been tough for me to get in. So if I was waiting for I've touched on this on one or two videos that so market video wants the 50-day to be rising, so it would have had to have been minimum sort of here somewhere. Now these two specific days would have been tough for me because look at the huge volume pickup, but I wasn't watching this specifically at the time. But if I just sort of woke up that morning and say, righto, well, yeah, it's had a big day, monster volume relative to where it was. I wouldn't have taken it because I think, well, it's just going into previous highs here. A lot of breakouts haven't been working particularly well, and I would have been pretty happy with that decision. So of course, the next day it just moved along again into all-time highs. I just would have found it just tough buying it after such a sort of few really strong days like that. Obviously, probably in hindsight, should have been buying it. So I just wonder if the other sort of setup within a momentum pullback is buying when the 200 is rising. 50-day can be not doing much, but sort of just getting gradually just wedged in there. So that would have given me an earlier entry, albeit maybe riskier because, of course, it could have just flopped over and done nothing. I think if I was going to take this trade, I would have had to have a go in here. The options were much cheaper. Then good thing about buying in this sort of contracting range, is that the volatility is often sort of reducing, so you can get the options pretty cheap. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a question I'm going to have to sort of think through, is that I do have on my sort of criteria for a momentum pullback to say, well, prefer the 50-day to be rising. However, when you have examples like this, it's okay for me to go in and go a bit early. I'm probably being a little bit sort of contradictory on sort of other videos that I've talked about there, and it's something I'm going to have to sort of clarify with myself a little bit better. Good thing about doing these videos is it's making me realise when I sort of talk out loud, just sometimes I'm just a bit full of shit, or just all over the place. The other thing too, after reviewing that qualitative website, is he's got 3 setups, and he seems to be very clear about that. I haven't been quite so clear. I've got a list of general ideas, but I need to be sort of clearer here. So I need to sort of formulate this a bit more. If I think back through previous examples, was it Shopify back in the day? What's a better one? No, AD. I can't remember those examples where, even if we just stick with Shopify example, 200 days rising, it's sort of just getting meandering in between here, but holding the 200 nonetheless. Do I just be a bit cheeky and say, right, I think, well, look, at least it's holding it. If I can get options cheap, do I just dive in then? And that's before it's really confirmed that it's gone back up into a confirmed uptrend. Maybe even added to the position here as it's sort of confirming that it's going the right way. Going back to Weat here. So I guess you need to look at each security as they come. So Weat's actually been a pretty good trender. Again, all the glory's been in the growth tech sort of stuff, and there's been other areas where it's just been sort of huge money to be had. Let's look back. So that goes back to mid-2020. It's sort of very consistently tag the 200, tag the 200, tag the 200, tag the 200. Now, once it sort of held that's tag the 200. That's been a pretty good. It's been a great buying spot. So until that character changes, perhaps to say, right, well, it does seem to love the 200-day moving average. I'm happy to get in sort of around here. Again, this is a little bit Harry hindsight speaking. So yeah, the other interesting thing was this day, just so I did get in anywhere, this day was horrific. Light volume, admittedly, but look how much it dropped. It's so you might have been forgiven thinking, well, that's a parabolic blow-off right there. Then it drops 8% in one day. I haven't had much experience in trading commodities, so maybe this is normal. But and that was just proved to be just the mother of all shakeouts before it went from $8 something to 12.74. I mean, option explosion there was just enormous. So might have been sort of shaken out there, or at least for part of that position. That was, back down to previous support too. Yeah, tough call. Tough call. I think definitely selling in some of the strength. So at least, if nothing else, gives you the courage to hold through these sort of gut wrenching moves. Looking at the bigger picture, the weekly, well, that does look like a diamond blow-off to me. Look at a huge red bar. Just a monster move here. And then, a lot of distribution coming in. So short term, that looks like a blow-off to me. Now, will it sort of consolidate sort of just nicely here before it goes again? If it goes again, yeah maybe. I don't know, of course. Anyway, there's some interesting feedback there. I've just got some notes out of there. I need to get a bit more black and white in some of my thinking on some of those setups. But we'll see how those go.